Okay, so its head is all torqued down. Here's the cam chain still dangling through here. Got to put in the cam chain guides and the tensioner and all that stuff still. Then we got to throw the cam in. Really just a lot of final detail stuff here. But in order to verify, I'm going to pop the timing cover off, make sure we are sitting at TDC on the right stroke before we go any further. Okay, so we pulled the chrome timing cover off. Here is what we're looking at underneath, dual point system. But in here is our timing mark on the case. Hopefully this shows up. Maybe I can get you guys some light in there. We have a T there. We have the line up top on the top part. The top part's stationary, fixed to the case. The bottom is your actual rotor. So what I need to do, actually, we're pretty close. Just got to bump this back a hair. So let me get those two lines to line up. Need that T mark to line up with that dash on the top. Then we'll be ready to throw the cam in. Timing is verified. We are on the fire mark on the left side underneath the timing cover. Right side if you're on the bike. So we're going to get ready to drop the cam in here. Gonna have to put some assembly lube on the journals, and we will drop the chain tensioner guides in. So on the cam chain guide, we have two plastic. This one is symmetrical. This will drop down into a pocket. Let me see if I can show you guys what I'm looking at here. If you look down in the motor, I don't know if that's going to focus, but come on. Right down there, there is a little pocket. Kind of looks like this one up here, but down in the bottom. Come on, focus. Hopefully you guys can kind of see that. Let me drop this in. Let me try the camera light. One-handing this with the phone. Here's the guide. This will drop down into its little pocket down there on both sides, and then the upper sits here. This can't go anywhere once you put the valve cover back on. This other side also on the other guide has a pocket down below. This is really difficult by myself to show you guys, but the cam chain tensioner has a little steel section down at the bottom here. Take my word for it. If you look down in your motor, you'll see it. It'll make a lot more sense. Anyways, when we are going to put this in, here's the tensioner. Again, symmetrical. But this is going to drop down into the pocket. Make sure it clips into the metal. It's like a little boxed section for the chain tensioner. This is going to fall forward. Okay. When you pull your chain up, it has to stay there, so I use the zip tie to kind of hold that in place. Like so. And then this will float here. There is a little rubber pad, this piece, that needs to go on there after, but this will go up here, and then you got a little bracket that's going to bolt on with two bolts here and a little sleeve that holds this upper section in place where my thumb is currently. I left that at the shop, so I can't really go any further, but I can get this laid out and throw the cam in. So I'm going to leave this chain up over here for now. That works okay. Cut the zip ties, load this up with assembly lube, and then we'll drop the cam in. Don't know if I like this view better, but here's what we're going to do. I think it's a little bit better, so we'll find out when I edit these. But now we're going to slide all of this together. So essentially the chain is here, cam's going to come through like so, and this will meet up right on here like so. All together as one kind of major piece of the puzzle. Let me see here. Let's pull this out and bring our cam chain up. And start on the cam. Kind of tedious, but Something kind of like that. Let me pull this cover out for the chain tensioner that I don't want to forget. Oh, you know what? I just pulled the chain tensioner out. Let's try that again. Now I'm going to have to wrestle this around a little bit and get all this to work. Okay, so here's kind of where we're at. Sprocket is on, cam chain is sitting here loose. None of this is bolted together. None of the timing is done. But fish them all in together, get it to this point. Notice that the sprocket is kind of cocked here. It's not on the camshaft where it should sit. That's typically right there. But in order to get them on, you loosen it, turn it, wrestle your chain on, and that would pretty much be where it's going to sit. Then you bolt it in. But before we can get to that point, we do need to time everything. So we have the bottom of the motor on the timing cover set to TDC. We need to make sure we're sitting at the right time on here, which means we want our valves facing down. The rockers are on top, so when the valves come up to the top of the, when the valves come up to the top, let me spin this around real quick. If the valves are up here, the rockers are getting pushed up, therefore pushing the valves down. We don't want that. Since this is at TDC, this is cylinder 1, we want the cam lobes towards the bottom, like so. Then we need to line up our cam, or the sprocket on the cam itself. This is where those 3 lines that I just talked to you guys about a second ago come into play. So let's wrestle this off of here. Come on. Of course, it's all going to go together super smooth when I don't need it to. Now, if these are facing the bottom, we're going to want this to hit the teeth and line up on here, where these lines are perfectly parallel with the deck of the head. Okay, so wherever this cam needs to be to make sure that that happens is what we want to do here. So roughly, it's going to be right about there. Now, that's the position we want it at. Now we get to wrestle the chain on. Come on. Stupid tensioner. And lock this cam down. Right there. So hopefully these lines show up on camera. grab the light, see if it reflects. I don't know if these are visible. This line right here and that line right here need to be flush with the head of the block. Those are the timing marks, and if we look at the holes here on the sprocket, this line's up perfect on the bolts themselves. That is what you are looking for. Timing marks are machined into the sprocket. If you're smarter than I am, just take a Sharpie and highlight those lines. Hopefully you can see that one there. And these here. There's 3 of them for reference. But cam is installed minus the bolts. So let me brake clean the 2 10mm bolts here. We're going to hit these with some brake clean. A little bit of Loctite, snug these down, and that should be it for timing. The bolts are brake clean. We're going to do a little bit of Loctite on here. I'm using blue. Oh, that was way too much. Way too aggressive on that one. Not used to that. So, Loctite here. We'll thread these in. And let me grab my 10mm ratchet. Chain tensioner is not in on this at all yet, so okay. Then we'll rotate this over now. We can turn the motor around. Now that that's locked in place, this is also a good point to kind of see that everything is working free. We're not getting into any binding spots. So now we're 180 out. Take your second one. Thread this one on in. If I remember, I'll try and give you the actual torque spec on this. I don't think I'm going to pull the wrench out and retorque this yet because I'm not ready to put the upper cover, the valve cover or rocker box cover on. But there we have it. We now have a fully assembled top end minus the valve train. So valves and everything else are good. Everything's torqued, ready to go. And just for good measure, let's rotate this through a couple times. Make sure everything is still spinning and moving freely like it should. Ooh, nice compression. Just going to run my finger over the plug holes. This is not an accurate compression test by any means. But make sure that all of this is working as it should. Compression stroke there. And the last one. Good. It's a ton of rotation there, but I'm okay with that. So far, so good. Cam is all, her head is bolted on, cam is in, bolted down. Everything is good to go. Figure I'll just finish up the rest of these little odds and ends. So these are the oiler passages. little holes here, make sure all of that floats free. I did replace the O-ring on this. I'll do it again on the other side. But what I would like to do is continue going on this and get all of this tedious stuff done. So we're going to just do a little bit of oil on here. Don't need a lot. But this is going to sit over here. And this little rubber piece is going to land over here in the head. I don't know if I have new ones of those or not. I don't think I do. Nope. So we will lay this out, get these to drop back in where they're supposed to, like so, and that'll just keep that stationary right there. Same thing on the other side. Got one O-ring here. So I'll take a pick. These are actually not in the worst of shape. They are bathed in oil, so these don't really tend to dry out. Where's my gasket set? I'll find the other matching one. Yep. There it is, buried. Alright, so O-ring's going to go back on now. The right one. And this, let me grab some more oil off of this. Just a drop in the oil passage. Don't need much. Like so. And then that last 10 mil fastener I had, it goes on the back side here. There we have it. That completes pretty much everything that I need to do right now. I'm going to throw the timing cover back on. I'm still going to have to come back to that at a later point anyway, but it's just less stuff. I'm trying to clear everything off of the bench because I have Sportster stuff to do. Well, there we have it. There is the head install onto the actual motor. Valve train was all redone, cleaned up, ready to go. Everything is retorqued, and we are pretty much there. The next video will be rebuilding the rocker box. I did not get a teardown video on that one. I was working at the shop and getting ready to blast and coat everything, so I just kind of blasted that apart real quick. Then sandblasted it and then coated it, and now it's done and ready to go. Still need to do a pretty good cleaning on that one when we throw the valve train back into the rocker box. Then we got one O-ring gasket and a million bolts. Tighten that down, and we are just about done with this motor. I can go back to the shop and he can get on to cleaning and painting the bottom. Take it easy. Hit that like button if this has been of use to you. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see the rest of this and a frame rebuild, since that's all freshly coated sitting at the shop waiting reassembly. Waiting on a couple little odds and ends there. And if you hate the Honda stuff and want to see more old sporty stuff, more of that coming too. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys later.